Hello there, YouTubers. Welcome to another video. It's the 11th of February. The 11th of February, year 2026. And yeah, I was as a matter of fact, I was kind of planning to go live, again, but the current shitty matters I've 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 had with YouTube just hugely hugely this encouraged me to do so, since I see I see no other incentives to keep making and sharing videos on YouTube, other than just using it as a personal archive or a diary, to just to share and talk with myself about a bunch of matters and blah blah blah, and and yes, as a matter of fact, it's I don't find I don't find YouTube that appealing, or or encouraging, to, or say, friendly to authentic creators. And yes, I do consider myself an authentic, at least a somewhat authentic creator, or at least an authentic YouTuber. Since I, more often than not, I share my very raw, unfiltered thoughts with you guys, at least most of the time here. And so that's kind of brings the the main the main topic of this fifth filming session is be kind to others but be strict with yourself. And I'm not trying to encourage you to to play nice or be a nice guy, but on the contrary, doing so will save you a lot of time and strength, by avoiding getting frustrated and upset and disappointed with people, since you lower or or if not completely neutralize all the unrealistic expectations you put on others, including, say, YouTube, your say your clients or your friends, family, blah blah blah, whoever, whatever. Um, in this day and age, just focus on yourself as much as you can. Though on the other hand, it's not that I I it's not that I am trying to encouraging you to be a complete loner and not having authentic conversations and interactions with other people, even with NPCs of sorts. But just um, so doing so will save you a lot of time, a lot of trouble by avoiding, like I said, disappointments. Yeah, since having expectations on others put so much pressure and stress on yourselves, on the whole situation, and blah blah blah. And over the past years, over the past uh, over the past several years, I've learned to expect more of myself, but frequently cut others a lot of slack. Since not that I intend to be a nice guy or blah blah blah, like I said, but on the contrary, prioritize on building and strengthening your inner peace, your inner strength, your sometimes it can be your own bubbles that serves as a layer or a barrier of protection, from outside harm, from outside abuse and bullying, sometimes trolling too. Though yes, though behaving like a troll every now and then, can sometimes serve more more good than harm. Say, you know, trolling some people, in an entertaining fashion, in a manner that makes people laugh, that makes people including yourself laugh, and in that case, I believe then trolling can trolling for fun can say serve more benefits than harm, in some sense. But yeah, so yeah, so far, like I said, I pretty much, I don't really give a piece of flying shite, about, how many sort of subscribers, I get on YouTube or on any other platforms. Though it certainly, more or less will kind of, make me a bit less stressed, less upset, less sad if I do see, my channel continues to get to see an increase in number of subscribers and views, blah blah blah. But like I said, I no longer, I pretty much stopped 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 caring about, you know, the number of subscribers to my channel, you know, views and shit, blah blah blah. You know, since it comes down to luck, and more often than not to YouTube's hostile and dehumanizing algorithms. Since you know they control, you know, the whole platform, you know, they can do whatever to the platform as they see fit. And certainly it is and will forever remain a rigged game, a highly rigged game, so long as the platform, so long as YouTube continues to exist. You know, so on and so forth. But yeah, I just, you know, don't, you know, nowadays, you know, I see no incentives whatsoever, you know, for black pillars, for black pill channels, for black pill creators like I and some else and someone else, you know, say life is overrated. The prison called life. Blah blah blah. I just, don't. I see no incentives for channels like us to continue to create and share videos on platforms like YouTube and shit. And yes, I sincerely and humbly beg your pardon in case my stuttering and the toning of my voice during this filming session kind of troubles you, or kind of sounds a bit uneasy or unsettling to some of you guys out there. Since I've been kind of I got kind of knocked down by some hemorrhoids, and yes, I had such hemorrhoids for nearly half of my entire lifetime. So I don't really, and so it doesn't really it doesn't really trouble or bother me that much, to suffer from hemorrhoids, from pain, no matter physical or emotional trauma, blah blah blah. I pretty much I've learned how to cope with them rather efficiently. So that's why maybe for the next couple of say weeks or months, you may notice and a, a noticeable decrease in the frequency, at which I upload videos to YouTube. Not because that I have completely abandoned the platform, or or my my so-called career as a rather old YouTuber. It is just that how should I put it? I just find it quite embarrassing. I just find it quite embarrassing and awkward to continue to talk about some obvious facts and truths over and over. I just how should I put it? I just got exhausted. I just grow tired of you know of carrying such weight. So I would like to give myself, cut myself some slack, where I can, while I try to be strict with myself, while I try to expect more of myself, and and in the meantime expect a lot less from you guys, from my viewers, blah blah blah. Since I'm I'm not your say I'm not exactly, or I should say I do not exactly hold a lot of stakes in your lives, say, or in every major aspect of your life. As a result, um naturally I shouldn't um you know I shouldn't take the moral high ground and tell you or instruct you what to do next, in order to improve your lives, or just trying to cope with this harsh and hostile and brutal reality as we speak. So you continue to do you. You guys can continue to do you, to be yourselves, and not get swayed by others, in particular by NPCs, by mass media, by regimes, by the slave masters' attempts to indoctrinate you, or to trick you, or to nudge you into doing something that ultimately serves them the most benefits. So yeah, so and like I said in the very beginning of year 2026, and many times, on some many other occasions and instances, don't take life so seriously. Learn to enjoy something enjoyable while you still can. But in the meantime, put higher expectations on yourselves, but lower your expectations on others. On, say, they can include your family, your friends, business partners, clients, blah blah blah. Don't expect them to grant you the favors or the respect or the money that is due, or that is due. even if in truth you absolutely 100% even if 100 in truth you absolutely 100% earned the respect, earned the money, earned the the rewards, or I should say the 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 fruits that are due, that you deserve to receive. Say, since certain things, even something beneficial, something enjoyable, something pleasurable, even they can expire from time to time. That says, they you don't always need them. Though I can't really, you know, though on the other hand, I like the most, if not all of you guys, still kind of, want them, as soon as possible, ASAP. But still, even if I don't receive them, fine. At least, I still have a roof over my head. I still have, some food, to keep myself alive. Um, though I doubt, they will last very long. But still, even if I say die of starvation, die of or die of assassination, whatever, you know it sooner or later death will come. Comes death comes to us all. It's just a matter of time. So, but that's on the other hand, you should do what's necessary to improve your lives, to explore and exploit your own potential, to maximize your gains in the game, if you catch my drift. That says, I believe, so far as I perceive, and so far as I can believe and perceive, the greatest sin is not suicide. It's not even murder. It's not even getting yourselves involved in something dark or something highly dishonorable. Say, well, I won't explicitly mention what exactly it is. Say, the greatest sin is not suicide. It's not even murder. It's not even, say, doing something highly dishonorable or dehumanizing, blah blah blah. But instead, the greatest sin is to let your own epic potential go to waste just like that, while you sit there and do nothing. Say, assuming you have, say, a tool or an instrument that can vastly and instantly make your life much better, and yet you do not use it. Just imagine, how sad such instrument will be, and how much of a regret you will have to endure, for the rest of your life, for the rest of your lives later on. Say, and that says, even if my previous trip to Hong Kong did cost me quite a great deal of money and strength and energy as a result, I do not regret a single bit. I do not regret that I did what I believe was necessary to change and improve my life for the better last year in 2025. And yes, I firmly, I, I believe firmly that I have done what was best, what was best at the time, since I saw no other options nor alternatives, to give myself, the necessary self affirmations and validations, though not necessary compliment that was due, or that was due. I don't know how you guys um you know who come from America say do or do, or unlike Brits, most posh Brits tend and most Aussie folks tend to say do instead of do, or do. Well, I beg your pardon for my poor my poor speculation and pronunciation, American pronunciation. I have long forgotten, but that certainly qualifies for another video on another day. I guess I wouldn't. I will not go too deeply. I will not dive too deeply into such a topic in this filming session. But yeah, just what else? Yeah. So you may say that currently, yes, I did manage to break the siege last year. Yet currently, I believe I am still um um kind of under siege. Even if I did manage to break such siege once last year. And I suppose it shall take me pretty much another whole year to figure out how to make another breakthrough, and eventually, pull myself out of this state of utter misery and helplessness. But we shall see. I shall see what I can do, what I can continue to do to make a positive change. And to make some dents, some visible, highly noticeable dents onto the matrix itself. Yeah, so yeah, yes, and again, I beg your pardon for not going live as I planned. Since I don't really feel that motivated, to go live. Since I don't tend, to receive, a wide range of audiences and views. Recently when I go live, but I shall see when the next wave of, say, the next waves of sparks and inner fire that can come to my way, or God may throw at me, so that I can amass more strength to go live again. And yeah, I just but long story short, I'm currently in a bit of I'm currently going through some shite, some shit, some setbacks, and they are kind of they kind of prevent me from going live. But regardless, at least I eventually, broke the ice, broke the silence, and made this video. At least, most primarily for myself, and in turn, next for you guys. Yeah, and that's what matters the most. That's what matters the most, as far as I believe. Yeah, so yeah, in any regards, thank you very much for watching and listening, and bearing with me until the end of this filming session. Yeah, so have a lovely day. Have a lovely day. Have a wonderful and peaceful night. And yeah, do what you like, but prepare to live with the repercussions that come, that might come afterwards. So yeah, thank you again for watching and listening. And in case God's still willing, see you around on YouTube, BitChute, Rumble, Patreon, blah blah blah, and in case you do happen to have enjoyed this video, this filming session so far, maybe you would like to check out my Patreon page, or buy me a coffee page, blah blah blah. But still, even if you don't, whatever, you do you do what you like. So yeah, thank you again. If God's still willing, see you around. Stay out of trouble and stay far from weak. Bye. Cheers.